family, friends, guests. We are very honored to have you here in the beautiful theater, PHIL Haarlem. This occasion is not just an event, but it's also a celebration. And if you think in our lives, we can wait. If we have that mindset of celebrating life, a life of stability, then every day can be a celebration. It's a choice. So this event is a celebration of life, a life of stability, creating balance, peace and harmony. And we took the chance to celebrate with you all the 10th anniversary, as you see, from PHIL Harmony House. And BK stands for Brahma Kumaris. This is our BK Center, Brahma Kumaris Center in Amsterdam Southeast. There's a saying in Dutch, life is a party, but you have to put up the decoration yourself. I will say it in Dutch. Het leven is een feest, maar je moet de slinger zelf ophangen. So you can decorate your life with a decoration of balance, peace, harmony. And then our life will be a life of stability. We will show a short video with photos of the 10 years we are now in Amsterdam Southeast, and not only in Southeast, the rest of Amsterdam, outside of Amsterdam. We try our best to serve humanity with that what we study daily, ourselves. It begins with ourselves. We study, we meditate every morning, and then we can share that with our brothers and sisters. Enjoy, and we hope you have a great time.
In elke adem denk ik aan mijn zonen, mijn dochters en de wereld van hun dromen. Een wereld die met mij moet beginnen, want winnen komt alleen van binnen. Wanneer de kinderen naar school toe gaan, mag geen enkele brug voor hen openstaan, want generaties zijn hen voorgegaan om het land op te bouwen waar zij nu op staan. Hier adem ik en mijn vrienden ook, hier werk ik aan een mooi Zuidoost. Hier heb ik altijd in geloofd, hier ben ik het beste beloofd. Ik zie 10 kinderen die samen spelen, samen leren, samen streven. Hun ouders afkomstig uit verre streken, die niet de wijsheid samen delen. Ik zie die kinderen wijzer worden, zelf ondernemend, zelf sporten. Niets houdt hen tegen, geen angst uit kranten, want het succes ligt in hun handen. Hier adem ik en mijn vrienden ook, hier werk ik aan een mooi Zuidoost. Hier heb ik altijd in geloofd, hier ben ik het beste beloofd. In de Gasperplas zie ik mijzelf en heel de wereld, dat spreekt vanzelf. Niet vreemd of raar, maar mooi verschillend. Niet kil afwachtend, maar juist wel wild. In de Gasperplas, daar stroomt de Rhône, maar ook de Nijl en de Amazone. Dit is van mijn wonderschone Zuidoost voorbij, mijn vrije zon. mijzelf. En heel de wereld dat spreekt vanzelf. Niet vreemd of raar, maar mooi verschillend. Niet kil afwachtend, maar juist welwillend. In de Gaasperplas, daar stroomt de Rhône. Maar ook de Nijl en de Amazone. Dit is van mij, mijn wonderschone Zuidoost voorbij, mijn vrije zone.
Every time when I hear my sweet brother Orville Breveld sing this actually anthem of Amsterdam Southeast, I find myself becoming emotional. And I can tell that you all felt it also. And yeah, zeker. And ladies and gentlemen, but behind me you see a heart. A heart made of people from Amsterdam Southeast, and they are fathers and they are mothers, they are police officers, civil servants, and so it's my honor and privilege to stand here before you as your burgemeester van de Bijlmer. Yeah, because so they call me this, Sister Jayanti, they call me burgemeester van de Bijlmer, and it's my honor to be that. Approximately 100,000 people living there, 173 ethnicities and cultural backgrounds. But you know, there is one place who already said we want to be in that center of Amsterdam Southeast, and that's Harmony House. They felt the calling of the people of Amsterdam Southeast, the calling for peace, the calling for harmony, the calling for stability, and Harmony House delivered. They brought us the gift of meditation. It's a gift that transcends between religion, it transcends between political views, and it transcends far beyond cultural backgrounds. And here everybody is welcome. So it's our wish that we all should stand together, not just today, but tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, to first feel our own heart. And then from that love within, because you cannot give love to other people if you don't love yourself first. Nothing there to say, okay, maybe I am too self-absorbed. No, you should be absorbed. First in the self, in the connection with that which is higher, and then you ask yourself, how can I serve? We all can be the leaders we've been waiting for.
I love this place, I find it here, I find it true. It's when you feel the happiness of you, it's when you know the happiness that lives in you. Harmony is the light that lives in you. Ooh, yeah.
We have this wonderful atmosphere of connecting already, and I don't want to spoil it, but I want to talk about the reality that we are right now in. So, I would like to thank the organizers, Sheila and Arti, for having me here and congratulate them with 10 years Harmony House. And my message today is spirituality is not a nice to have, but it's a must have. Because if we talk about stability, peace, I think we need the anchor of spirituality. And spirituality, the way I'm talking about, is the connection, becoming aware of a connection between the things that we see and the things that we don't see or we can't perceive immediately with the sensory senses. But those things influence our lives. And so my main message is that spirituality anchored means that if we want to achieve stability in life, I think it's about not only meditation, but it's about caring for yourself, caring for others, and caring for nature. And stability, don't we all long for it? A quiet sense of as if everything falls into place in your life. That quiet balance, as if something, an inner space is growing, a space to expand, to connect to a deeper realm within ourselves. A realm which has a lot of bliss and creativity, and if those who are meditating, they understand what I'm talking about, that inner space is tremendous if you connect to that inner space. But yet, how long does it last, that stability, that harmony? It takes a second sometimes with an external event, or if someone is just saying something nasty to you. A passing comment, which maybe it's not interesting for you, but somehow you are touched, and that state of stability is then gone. So how then do we have that sustainable stability? It means that we are totally, you can say, dependent on external remarks and external influences. So before talking about how do you get that sustainable stability, I think it's important to look at the world, the state of the world. And the state of the world is not that nice. If I would ask you, what do you see in the world, and things you will mention, war, geopolitics, instability, and climate action, which is not going to the direction that many of us wish. A lot of things, and economists and strategists, they have introduced this concept of FUCA, and some of you may know it. FUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And I'm sure everyone feels this sometimes in your workplace as well in your homes. That uncertainty, that complexity, especially in new technologies, we feel so overwhelmed at times. How to reach out to a person if you need to get things done, for example, from a bank. No people to talk to, it's just all through the internet. So, as a follow-up of FUCA, an anthropologist, Cascio, introduced BANI, and BANI stands for brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible. So for the Dutch, breekbaar, angstig, niet lineair, en moeilijk te begrijpen. So, if we have that feeling, then what do we need to do? In my approach on spirituality, I say that the known part that we already know is for predictable outcomes. And if we are dealing now with a world which we can't comprehend, it's so much anxious, then we have to dive into the unknown probably, because there we might find some inspiration. So if we talk about FUCA, BANI, we also need to look at the work of the World Economic Forum. And they are looking at the risks every year. They talk to thousands of leaders in different industries, and they put down the risk. And a few years ago, they introduced this word polycrisis. So they clustered the risk, economic risk, social erosion, different kinds, geopolitics, environmental risk. And they say, you can't solve them just focusing on one of them, because these are interconnected crises. And when it's interconnected, it means that the solution should be also interconnected. So therefore, in my approach, if I want to now go to the next topic, how do we get that sustainable balance, is I want to introduce, because I have been reflecting a lot, and we have been, of course, doing many studies looking at what is the influence of spirituality in the workplace, and it's all nice to look into spiritual practices, but there should be more. So I'm introducing the connect in this speech to Dharma. Dharma as a concept, because it has multifacets, it has multi-layers, and three reflections if we talk about long-lasting stability. One of them is because we feel a lot of polarization, or we see it among ourselves. The first one is that sometimes we think we know it, and we know it all, and we just don't give the space to other people. So that means that social space we need to create, because in the social space we invite multiple viewpoints. That's one aspect of Dharma. The second one is that if we just imagine that external world is there, but there might be an internal world, and many of you are already meditating, so you know what I'm talking about, that inner space. And if that inner space becomes your inner strength, your remote control, that gives also strength towards stability, sustainable stability. And the third one is, and I'm inspired by Duryodhana from the Pandava Gita today, for those who are celebrating Krishna Janmashtami. He said, actually, based on this verse, we need to move beyond the mind. And he says, I know what Dharma is. Dharma as an expression of doing good, righteous behavior. Yet, I'm not compelled to move away or follow that. I know what adharma is, so not righteous behavior, but I'm not able to refrain from it, because there is some divine force guiding me and directing me what to do. So with that, I want to introduce this layer of dharma, which is the cosmic order. So if we talk about sustainable stability, I think it's wonderful to have spiritual practices and organizations like Brahma Kumari, wonderful tools they have. But we also have to look at the other layers, like surface, connecting at the social space and really connecting by deep listening. And the third one is that we feel ourselves as an instrument, not as someone who knows it all. But if you feel yourself as an instrument, that things happen. It's not that you stay in a doing mode, but things happen. And if you allow things to happen, then the stability is there, a lasting stability. So I want to close. I know there's already signed twice. I have to close. I want to close with Dharma Rakshati Rakshitaha, saying that if we sustain that Dharma, then the Dharma sustains us as well.
Where do I find stability? There's nothing stable outside that I can see. There's a lot of instability, a lot of uncertainty, and so where do I turn? Do I turn to a human being? Well, they're going through the same fluctuations that I am, so I don't think that they can give me some support or help. But there are two things I can do. I can go on an inner journey, and I can connect with the source. And this is the word Raj Yoga. You've heard of yoga, many of you practice yoga, I'm sure. And yoga actually means connection. And so Raj Yoga, Raja, the master, the sovereign, the king. And so it's yoga with the one who is the highest, the supreme, the master. But that yoga, that connection, gives me self-sovereignty, mastery over myself. I have had the good fortune of being with yogis for most of my life, and many, many of them, not just one. Yes, the founder, Brahma Baba, became the example for everyone else who followed, but many, many of them. The word Dadi means an elder sister, and these Dadis were my family, and they still are. But also, they made the world their family. And so through their leadership, the things that they showed us by example were love, harmony, balance, peace. All of these things were absolutely deeply instilled within them. And so those of us who had the fortune of being with them, Sister Jacqueline and many others sitting here, all of us shared that fortune of not just seeing them from a distance, but being with them in situations of much upheaval. Too many incidents, too many situations for me to share with you now at this moment. But yes, it's possible to find stability inside if I'm following the path of harmony, peace, and balance. And so out of all of these things, where do I begin? Let me begin with balance. We focus so much on the things of the world outside that very often we forget things inside. And so this balance of inner and outer is what Raj Yoga is about. Mastery over the self, sovereignty over my thoughts, my feelings, my personality, even my memories. Can I be selective and choose what is useful for me at this moment? And can I learn from the things that were not so pleasant? Can I then find a way to change my perception of all of that? Yes, all of that is possible through spiritual understanding. First and foremost of myself. When I go on that inner journey, it allows me to go inwards, and then upwards, and then outwards. And so my experiences in yoga are not just confined to my experiences inside, but then they're related to all the things that are happening to me outside in the world also. And so, perfect balance, the balance of attention within, and then accuracy in whatever I do out there. All of this is possible in our lifetime, and not just in a lifetime. Raj Yoga has been my life and the lives of many others here, but the moment of understanding, when the light bulb comes on, takes just a moment. It doesn't take a lifetime. Maybe it's been many lives of effort in the past, who knows? But definitely now, at this moment, just one moment of clear understanding, and there can be transformation. And so that awareness of who I truly am, not the external form, peel away all the externals, and what you're left with? Nothing? No, something very precious. You're left with that awareness of the inner being, the being that is eternal, immortal, and is the source of life, and is the being that I truly am. And so this discovery then brings perfect balance in relationships. It brings balance in terms of work, family, life, all the things that I need to do. I wonder how many struggle with this balance of work and family and life. Probably many. But when I spend a little bit of time nurturing the being that I am within, that's at the top of the pyramid. Usually we forget about it. But at the top of the pyramid is this awareness of the inner soul. And then, if I've created a state of harmony inside myself, how many of us go through struggles and battles within? My feelings say one thing, my conscience says something else. Can I bring them together and match them up? Can I integrate all of these? Yes, it's possible. And so when I learn about dealing with feelings and thoughts and my conscience and my habits, all of these things come back to a state of harmony in which one is matching the other, and life begins to move in a wholesome way, in a holistic way, because I've understood what is harmony within. And so balance and harmony, and yes, then there is peace. And when I create these conditions within myself, with help from the one above, I don't think I could do it on my own. The world is, we're hearing about complexity, it's a hugely complex world. Every situation is amazingly complex. But come back to the essence, come back to the inner being, and I create stability inside with the power that comes from up above. And on the basis of that, not only do I have stability, but if there's a stable force, then everything around it also revolves in a more harmonious and balanced way. And we begin to create a world in which we are more aware, more conscious, a world of justice, of beauty, of truth. And so today we're actually celebrating something that's waiting for us just ahead, a world of justice and love and beauty and truth. So I hope you'll carry away inspirations from here tonight. We've had beautiful musical interludes in which we've been inspired, but there'll be more also. But I hope that a word here, a few words here, a feeling, something will help you attain that stability in your own life. Sharda, you ended your little introduction with a very beautiful statement that Dharma will protect you if you protect Dharma. Would you like to share something more about that?
Yes. When I dive deep into the scriptures, I saw that it's too complex to only say it's ethical living or religious living. Actually, it points out that we ourselves have the responsibility. And that's why I found it very beautiful. If you see the world we live around these days, so many things are happening, then if we acknowledge that there is a sustaining force and we are part of that sustaining force, then it's our duty to abide to that sustaining force, but also to work towards that interconnected, you can say, impact that it has if we listen to it. Oftentimes, if we talk about polarization, then we end up saying that we don't have peace, and polarization is such a difficult topic to address. But I think by introducing this dharma as sustaining force, it invites all of us to say, if there is this cosmic order, that sustaining force, and we are part of it, then we are not higher than the other, or we don't have to fight for the attention. And therefore I wanted to express that we need to look at these three levels where we have the responsibility to go inwards, to search inwards, what is that space, and think about it, a space which no one can encroach. It's your space, it's intimate space where there are no fights, it's only you are there, you have the remote control. That's wonderful, isn't it? And then in the space with others, we also have that responsibility to listen. Deep listening is one of the competences that we need. What is the other person bringing actually? And if we say becoming aware of that we don't know it all ourselves, maybe someone has a different viewpoint, that itself is a huge awareness that you invite multiple viewpoints, and actually it's also that then you are not alone to solve it. There are so many others there to help looking at the different viewpoints. Usually in my classes I use the cube, showing the cube and say, I see the blue side and you might see the yellow one and the other one the green one. So what's the point on fighting, saying that this is the reality or this is the way we should solve it? No, let's jointly solve it. And it's easier said than done, but we have to take that step of trying to also claim that there is this social space where we feel the responsibility, that sustaining power there, where we all have a responsibility. And spiritual organizations do wonderful work, and I think we need them all. And because people have forgotten to care for others, people have forgotten to care for themselves, and then caring for the nature. Because if we say, there is this sustaining force in the cosmic order, then we need to also abide to it. That if things are not happening the way you want, it's just you are an instrument. So by introducing dharma, I say we create that responsibility to know when do I have to do things, when do I have to just be there for someone else in service to others, and when do I have to just let go and let it happen. So being, doing, being and happening is that interplay that we have to become aware of. And I think dharma is that force that is inviting us to look into reality in that way.
I love the way that you positioned it with the three different aspects, the self and others and then nature. And I'm remembering that the Gita speaks about swadharma and how swadharma is Shanti. And so my first responsibility is to myself, to come back to that original state of peace that belongs to me. And I want to define dharma a little bit. Dharma can be the original state of being. Dharma is also the path that I follow. Dharma is a way of life. Dharma is based on the values that we have. And so when I come back to Swadharma, the original religion of the self, the original state of being of the self as peace, then yes, my responsibility is to sustain that within me. But also when I remember that that is my original state of being, then that in itself is a sustainer and a protector for me. And then in terms of a way of life, if I'm thinking about peace and I connect it with the aspect of non-violence, which of course it is absolutely, and if I take up this translation of the word ahimsa, I think many of you know that ahimsa means non-violence, but it also actually means do no harm. And that makes it very, very simple, because what is my relationship with others? Is it one in which there's peace being shared, or is it one in which there's some form of harm, maybe even through my subtle thoughts, or the words that I share, or the actions that I perform? And so we're not alone, we're not isolated, but we're together as one human family. And so coming to this awareness of dharma as a way of life, one in which not only is it that I do no harm, but can I take it the other way? Can I actually instigate something of joy, of happiness? That's possible. And so when I'm in that awareness of swadharma, my original state of being, of peace, then my actions are going to be one in which it's going to be sharing happiness with others, sharing maybe a smile. Have you ever tried smiling at somebody who isn't smiling at you? I'm sure you have, but definitely at some point they'll begin to smile back also. I remember being in a hospital with in India, and it was a time when my father had been critically ill, and he was then in his room, and the doctors and nurses would come from time to time, and I would have to be outside the room. And it was one room along a long corridor, as most hospitals, and I began to notice that it would be several of the same people who were walking up and down, sometimes the staff, but also visitors coming to see patients. And I decided I'd start smiling. And I would smile at whoever it is that was going past. And some would instantly smile back, and some wouldn't. But I continued to smile, even though last time they passed by they didn't smile back. I'd smile at them. And after going back and forth maybe 2-3 times, very often it was the same people going up and down, they began to smile. And so it's a very simple experiment that you can try, and it works. And a smile can't be artificial, because they'll see it's artificial, and they'll feel from the vibrations that it's artificial. But you're smiling because you're connecting with the soul.
Wonderful.
You're not just seeing them as a stranger, even though I didn't know any of them, but you're connecting with the soul that is inside. And there's an eternal bond that holds us all together. And so, if there's that awareness of dharma, that there's a connection of a family, a world family that we're part of, then our relationship with each other develops a different type of quality. And we're able to transcend all the differences, not just the differences of colour and race and so on, but even the differences of opinion. Now, that is more difficult sometimes, because the person I'm living with, the person I'm working with, there's a difference of opinion, and it can either be a fight, or if not a conscious fight, but a subconscious struggle. But also, it can be an opportunity to learn. So, you're saying one thing, as you were sharing, I'm saying something else. But if I have this awareness that there's a bond of eternal respect and love and dignity that holds us together, then the words that we choose and the ideas that we share are taken in a different way. And then, yes, little gestures, little actions that we can perform that can bring happiness to others. And so following the path of Dharma can be very basic and very simple, but it has huge, huge repercussions. But maybe the thing that we're also actually seeing is Dharma also is a set of rules, a set of laws, which means that there are spiritual laws that we're supposed to abide by. And when we recognize that no matter how hard I try, I can't make a tree. I can make a plastic tree, I can make a wooden imitation of a tree, I can paint a tree, but how do I actually create a tree? I can't. Nature has provided, and so all of nature, the human being, the human form, but also nature all around us is sacred. Now, when we see a tree, do we see it as sacred? And not just a tree, but a little weed. In the streets of London, sometimes we find that within the concrete blocks, the pavement, there's a little flower that somehow has found its way through the cracks and has managed to come up. Amazing. It's a wonder of nature. But of course, nature in all its abundance has looked after us for millennia. We didn't create it. It was there for us to enjoy. But of course, what's happened is we forgot about that. And we destroyed so many different parts of nature, not just the trees and the flowers and all of these things, but also the living creatures, the animals, all the insects that pollinate. I don't know whether you've noticed, but when we used to drive in the country, at the end of the day, you'd need to wash your screen because it had lots of splatterings on it. And now that doesn't happen. Why? There's not so many of those insects flying around. All the things we've done has been to remove them. And so many different aspects of Dharma, but when we come back to that awareness of, and Dharma in a translation in one word can also be spirituality. And so coming back to the awareness of spirituality and the sanctity of life, yes, that brings us great stability inside, but also it allows a world of harmony, a world of peace, a world of balance to be created again.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you a question. Research shows that the Netherlands is one of the most polarized countries. There is this source, Statista, did the research, and Netherlands, if they ask citizens how they feel about the polarization, it's 80% is the highest. So what is your view on, what is your message to the Netherlands when it comes to, you know, from the perspective of all these insights in the spiritual organization as Brahma Kumari, that inner stability, where do we have to start actually? And this polarization is not only just happening in politics, which is happening in our universities, in our homes. So, since you were relating also ahimsa, a concept not only in the sense of how we do things or bad things to others, but also ahimsa can be thinking bad about someone. So it's not only in the karma, in the actions, but also in the mind. So how do we get control or something else of that?
If I look at what's going on generally, it feels as if, it's like a battery, and when a battery is running down, then it's not performing as well as it should. It comes to a point where then it just comes to a standstill. But even when the battery is very low, then it's not at its best. And it feels as if the energy of the soul has gradually been used, it's been used, and it's come down to a point where we need to recharge it. And we're seeing the impact that it's difficult for us to accept, to understand. It's difficult for us to adjust or be flexible, to have tolerance. It's difficult for us to have patience. So polarization is the final outcome, but it's the lack of all of these inner spiritual powers that the soul is missing today. And we need to come back to the awareness that the connection with the divine, with the source, is the way in which we draw that energy back within ourselves. A simple example, a thought comes, and I know it's a negative thought, but it continues and continues and carries on. And how long does a negative thought last? It can last for 10 minutes, it can last for 20 minutes, it can go on for much, much longer. And all that time in which there's negative feelings being generated, what's happening to my physical body? So my body's going through all sorts of trauma through my own negative thinking. And I should be able to have the inner capacity, the power, to be able to tell my mind, if you go down this way, it's going to be damaging for the soul, for the body, and for the atmosphere, and for relationships. So how come when I tell myself, I mustn't stop, I must stop thinking about this, I mustn't carry on with this, but it still continues? It's again one aspect of this loss of inner power. And what we find is that when we practice focusing our thoughts on the highest qualities of the self, the original qualities of the self, and the connection with the divine, both of these things allow the highest to emerge, and more I'm able to deal with things in a positive way. More and more I'm able to train my mind to move in a specific direction rather than go in a direction that's going to bring me down. And so I think polarization is one aspect of this. Why is it that we don't say, okay, let's just have a chat about this, and we can have, whether you want a cup of tea or a cup of green tea or whatever it is your choice, but to sit down and patiently listen, and then put across your point of view with clarity. So often our minds are so jumbled that we don't have clarity in what we are saying and communicating because we're not clear about it ourselves. And so a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, a little bit of respect, and there can be a mutual understanding that we can come to. Then I can see why you're standing where you are, and you can understand why I'm saying and where I stand and where it is I come from. And so I think that we're impatient, we don't want to listen, and like you mentioned, there's the ego, I know best, I am right. But all of these are manifestations of the lack of inner power. And so I need to give time to nurturing myself and to make that connection so that I draw that energy. And it doesn't take a lifetime, it can start happening right now. Within a few moments, you can start experiencing what it's like to focus just for even a few moments on beautiful thoughts, thoughts related to the original self, my original state of being. And when I do this, and I continue to practice this, that energy level rises, and I'm able to accomplish what I couldn't do before.
Yeah. I have been working with different spiritual organizations. Working means I follow them, I want to learn from them. Brahma Kumari is a special one because it's led by women. So I'm wondering if you want to share some of your insights on leadership. Is that a certain type of competence is there which other institutions, other types of organizations can learn from? Why I'm asking is I'm working also with a company, a nursing company. 95% is women. It's nurse-led home care. So these women, they know what they do. They have fights, but they also know how to solve it. They improvise. They get things done. Very much solution-oriented and all. So of course, that's one case. And so I was wondering, are there some lessons that you would like to share from your organization led by women?
Imagine what the world was like in the 30s on the subcontinent in India and what today is also Pakistan. Women were very much second-class citizens. They had no control over their lives. They had to follow the decisions of first the father, and if the father, for whatever reason, wasn't there, then the brother. Even brothers, even younger brothers took over, not just elder brothers. And also their husbands, and that was it. There was no choice, no margin for discussion or anything, just obedience. And within that particular environment, when Rama Baba had a vision of a better world, his first understanding was that a better world meant equality, justice, and that meant, first of all, changing the relationship between men and women and creating a state of balance. But in order to create that balance, he knew that women had to be given extra attention. So affirmative action began, and he decided that women would be the teachers and the leaders of the organization, and that still continues till today. We welcome men, and very much men, brothers are part of our family, but they also are happy that women should have the opportunity to be the teachers and leaders. Rama Baba also saw that apart from just creating that balance and equality, women had a natural tendency for nurture, for compassion, for care. And if you see all the caring professions, you mentioned the healthcare, but also education, the care and nurture, very often it's women who are within that also. Social work, again, you see the same. And so he decided that if you wanted to create a space where there could be spiritual nurture and care, women had the capacity to be able to do that also, and the patience to be able to do that. Today we would call it feminine attributes, and it would be attributes that are there for men and women. The interesting thing that spirituality teaches us is that the soul is neutral. The soul doesn't have gender, but the soul has masculine qualities and feminine qualities. And then according to the norms of society, they have created these differences of this is a women's role, this is a man's role, and so on and so on. But a person like Jayanti, many of you knew her, she had the courage, not just of a man, but of a lion. And she was able to do amazing things, but also all the other daddies. Now here was a woman who had only 3 years formal teaching education, but she just, with the inner wisdom and her own brilliance, she became the head of an organization that spans the globe. But she grew up in a household where she wasn't allowed to speak. Mm-hmm. And what is it that brought about this change? It was coming back to the awareness of soul. Yes, I have a female body, but I am inner being of light, the soul. And Brahma Baba, very much the courage and power of a man, but also Brahma Baba with that love and care and compassion of a woman, a mother. And I had the good fortune of meeting him several times and experiencing that compassion and care. And so a man can have masculine and feminine qualities, and a woman can have masculine and feminine qualities. And again, there you see perfect balance. And then, if there is that state, then leadership carries the quality of vision, of foresight, of courage, but also of compassion and care. And what do you think the world needs now the most? It needs a lot of compassion, a lot of kindness, generosity, love and care. And so as we nurture both of these traits within the soul, by coming back to the awareness that I am this inner being of light, the soul, then I think together we can create that better world.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Then we have Vinod Sital. Raimil Sital. Phil Brayfield. Tanya Jadnanan Singh. Thank you once again, everyone, for this beautiful contribution.
I think there is no time for the meditation.
We'd like you to carry away the experience of inner peace. So join us in this little experiment of silence. I'll share my own thoughts and invite you to follow these ideas. And if you want to experiment further, then try keeping your eyes open and looking at that point of light that's in front of you. And if you feel more comfortable just with closing your eyes, that's also fine. Let the body be comfortable, both feet on the ground, balanced. I go on a journey, going inwards. I realize that this body is precious and valuable, but I am that being of light in the center of the forehead. And in this awareness, coming back to this awareness of the being that I am, the sacred space where no one else can enter. I realize that peace is who I am. It's my natural, my original state of being. I hold peace in my mind. And in this awareness of peace, my body becomes calm and settled. body begins to feel balanced, in harmony. And in this awareness of peace, I can sense the presence of the divine, the source of light, of love, of joy, of truth. And as my thoughts connect with the divine, from the source, these qualities reach the soul. And in this presence, the highest within my own being emerges. And the treasures that I carry within emerge, so that I now can feel that I too am a being of peace, of love, of truth, of joy, a being of goodness, of purity. The qualities of the divine are the qualities that I reflect. I was created as an image of the divine. I forgot myself. I forgot the divine. And I lost touch with these qualities. Now that I remember who I am, I remember the eternal connection with the source. I stay holding this connection so that truly I am full of these treasures once again. These qualities reach not only either soul, they reach out to the entire human family. And minds begin to shift. Attitudes begin to change, and more And these qualities not only reach my human family, but these qualities reach out to the animal kingdom. And they begin to sense safety and protection. These qualities reach out to all aspects of nature and the power of peace and love restores harmony and balance to the environment. The power of love from the divine removes the darkness of the world and brings about a day. So we enter the light once again. I keep this connection with myself and the source, and come back to the awareness of the present moment and the things that I need to do here and now. But now, with a different awareness, the awareness of who I truly am. So I play my role with balance, with peace, with harmony within, so that I have stability. And with that can help bring stability to others also. Om Shanti.
Thank you for this lovely meditation. It's been truly a celebration of life and the light we share as one family. As you leave the hall, we warmly invite you to receive a toli, a sweet prepared with love and pure vibrations, along with a personal blessing. May it remind you of the sweetness of your own inner being. Let us honor the energy of the meditation by leaving the hall in silence and with a gentle awareness. Thank you for your mindfulness. Thank you for being here. Om Shanti.